there, this is Katherine Cartwright. Welcome to day 3 of the Advent calendar from Diamond Press. Today I received an adorable embossing folder and I am going to spend some time working on a card using this. So I'm just going to measure, it's about 1.5 inches. I was going to cut it a little bit larger and then I realized that that's much too large. So I got to come back again and do this a second time, cutting it at 1.5 inches, and look, it fits just right. Okay, so measure twice, cut once, right? So lesson learned. So I'm going to run this through my Marquise, and you can see that you get this fun pattern. It's got some hearts and some stitching and some dashes on there. Very, very cute. And the camera obviously, I don't feel like does it justice. All right, so now I'm working on my card and I know I want to use a few things. I've got a white card base that I'm using from the Mega Stamp Kit. There were a bunch in there and so I'm using them up. I know I want to use some of these scalloped edge dies. These are also on the Diamond Press website. I'm loving them. They are staying on my craft table all the time and I'm just trying to figure out which sizes I want to use here. So I've got the scalloped and then the rectangle ones that are straight edge. And then I also pulled out, I said I was going to pull out some different things for these projects. This is a large sentiment stamp set that was released earlier this year that I absolutely loved when I did some samples with it. I think I used almost every single stamp on this set. It was amazing. And so I am going to do some stamping here. So I knew I wanted to use a piece of white cardstock and I want to put this little strip of embossing folder at the bottom of my card, but I may need to trim this down just a little bit to get it to fit. These sentiments are really large, which I love because it just helps you fill your card quickly, and I just love all the different fonts. I think every stamp has kind of a different font, and then there are a ton of the little sentiments like balloons and cupcakes and things like that. So I just really love this. I don't know if this is sold out or not. If it is, if it's available, I'll link it in the description. But I mentioned in an earlier video for the Advent calendar, I'm just going to try and pull out some things to pair with some of these little treats that I am getting in my calendar. Okay, and I want to do the happiest birthday to you, and I think my stamp is dirty. I'm pretty sure it is because I have some problems in a minute with it. I think I get some ink smudge everywhere, and so I have a little bit of a mess. I didn't do a very good job cleaning this when I used it before, but I'm going to begin by gluing this embossed piece at the bottom, and then I'm going to do some stamping on here. And so I wanted to do a couple of balloons on here as well. And so I added a couple of pieces of sticky tape at the bottom to keep the string, the balloon string, from going onto that section. But I'm going to get a smudge anyway because my finger, I think, got some ink on it in just a second. And so you'll see that. Thankfully, it was not too bad. I was able to salvage it, but I was concerned about what I would have to do next. And so I peeled this off. And then I touched my stamps and I got some ink on my finger. And then there you can see the smudge right there in the bottom. You can see it. Oops, there we go. And this is permanent ink. So I'm going to have to think about what I'm going to do. And so now I moved my paper because I wanted to add another balloon on here. And it's going to hang off a little bit on this one. And I didn't really measure too well. I should have probably done the balloons first and then done the sentiment. But with projects like this, I just kind of roll with it and we'll just see what happens. Okay, so I've got my second balloon there, and then I'm going to do a little coloring with it with my Copics. I've got some yellows. I haven't done any Copic coloring in a long time, so I decided to pull them out. And I'm just kind of looking at a couple of yellows, and then I had some blues that I wanted to use, and so this will layer. I've cut some other layers. I've got a layer scalloped in yellow, and then my main one I've added in red. And so I'm just going to kind of, these are going to be kind of a rustic look, I should say. I didn't want it to look too perfect, and so I'm just kind of flicking these two colors together, and then I'm going to let them kind of do their thing. I tend to overblend and everything just ends up being one really solid color with very little interest. So I'm working hard to try and not overdo everything, and I wanted to have a little bit of lightness on there too. And so I'm just going to add some of this yellow on here, doing the same technique. This one I am going to just kind of turn it a little bit more, flicking those ends together. So hopefully I'll have a little bit of lightness. You could achieve this with using a colorless blender to take some color out if you wanted to. And I'm going to have to fix something a little later with my colorless blender. So I do have that on hand as well. Okay. So happiest of birthday to you. And then I decided I needed one more color. I wanted to pull the blue into the card. And then I'm looking at my little smudge and I'm wondering if I could salvage it using this mono sand eraser. If I was gentle enough, could I get some of the color off of the paper without completely destroying the embossed piece? Since I've done all this work and I'm at the very end, I am crossing my fingers that I can make it work okay. And lo and behold, I was able to salvage it. Okay, but I probably would have just put some gemstones down there to cover it up, if I'm to be honest, or a ribbon would be effective for sure, like a skinny ribbon. That way you don't lose your whole embossed image. I probably would have done a really skinny ribbon to strategically go over my smudge. There's always a way to fix it. It's just a matter of what it's going to be. Okay, so I'm going to start layering these pieces together. Got the scallop and the rectangle, and like I said earlier, if they're available, I'll link them in the description. When I picked them up, I got a bunch of them. I got circles, I got squares, I got rectangles, I got ovals. And so I was thrilled to get them. And so again, they've just been sitting on my craft table and being used a lot. One, I get straight lines, which is unusual for me because I'm used to cutting everything myself. So it just makes it so much easier when the line is actually straight. Okay, so I've got my panel together. I'm going to add this to my card base, making sure I have that the correct direction before I start adding this on. Okay, so it is coming together. I'm very happy with where this has gone, even with a few little missteps here and there, because that's just crafting. And then I had these gemstones from the other day, and I'm trying to decide which ones I might want to use on here. They're the hearts, and then there's a star. And I decided I'm going to use the star, I think. And so I'm going to trim some of these off. This is just something I like to do before I place things because it can be hard for me to see exactly where I want them to be before I usually always, I shouldn't say always, but almost every time. Often I'll put some glue down because a lot of embellishments, don't have adhesive. These have adhesive, but I'm just trying to get this placed where I think I want them to go. And then I can, I got to come here for just a second with the colorless blender. I had a little blue get out of the balloon, so I'm going to go back and take that out. And when I think I've got them, I thought about putting one down here, but I thought it was just kind of strange, kind of hanging around there. And then finally, I'm just going to go for it. So these do have adhesive, and so I'm just going to start kind of sticking them down. So I don't need to put any extra glue on here to make sure that it's stuck because I've got some good adhesion. So I'm just going to kind of randomly press those around, and then I'm still struggling a bit with this star, and then I decide to put it onto the eye of the birthday on top of it. And so that is my final decision on this card. And so but then of course I can't find my pokey tool, and I'm worried it's going to stick because I didn't have it close. So there, I will put it on top of the birthday to finish it off. So that is the embossing folder that I received today in my advent calendar. Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe. I'll have future videos with the future products from the advent calendar. Thanks so much for watching, and have a great day.